couple more stories for you for this week. The first one, Good Night Moon. You guys all know this story. I'm sure you've all heard this story many, many times, but like any good story, it's worth reading again. So our first one for today is Good Night Moon. Here we go. In the great green room, there was a telephone and a red balloon and a picture of the cow jumping over the moon. And there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs and 2 little kittens and a pair of mittens and a little toy house and a young mouse. Did you guys see the mouse? He's very small. Here he is. And a comb and a brush and a bowl full of mush. And a quiet old lady who was whispering, hush. Good night, room. Good night, moon. Good night, cow, jumping over the moon. Good night, light, and the red balloon. Good night, bears. Good night, chairs. Good night, kittens. Good night, mittens. Good night, clocks, and good night, socks. Good night, little house, and good night, mouse. Good night, comb, and good night, brush. Good night, nobody. Good night, mush. And good night to the old lady, whispering, hush. Good night, stars. Good night, air. Good night, noises everywhere. Do you think that bunny finally is going to go to sleep? Did he say good night to everything? Good night, moon. A great story for bedtime or anytime. All right, I have one more for you. This one is a newer one that I found recently. It's called Maybe God is Like That Too. And it's about this little boy who lives with his grandma in the city, and he's kind of wondering, where's God? Let's see what he finds out. Maybe God is like that too. Here we go. I live in the city where the sidewalks and subway cars and buildings and buses are packed with people. But I've never seen God before. There he is. He's waking up right there in his room. Grandma, does God live in the city? I asked one morning at breakfast. Yes, God is here, she says. You just have to know where to look. Whenever you see love, joy, and peace, God is there, she says, stirring her tea. Whenever there's patience, kindness, and goodness, God is there too. When you see faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, that's God's Spirit at work. On the way to school, I'm on the lookout. I see a bus full of tourists and count 10 bright yellow taxicabs. I spy a man sweeping the stoop, and Grandma and I laugh when we see a tiny dog wearing a fluffy purple sweater. Do you see the puppy? There he is down here. At school, Grandma hands me my lunch and hugs me close before she says goodbye. That's what love looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. On the swings, I pump so hard, I see over the wall into the alley. My friends shout higher, higher as my feet fly way up into the sky. That's what joy looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. Outside, car horns blast and sirens scream, but my classroom is quiet and calm. That's what peace looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. I try to tie my shoes, but the laces tangle around my fingers. My teacher sits down beside me and shows me how to tie them. That's what patience looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. On the way home, I see a doorman wearing a red cape and a hat with a shiny brim. He's holding the door for a man using a wheelchair. The man moves very slowly, and the doorman chats with him, and he smiles. That's what kindness looks like to me. Maybe that's what God's like too. While I'm setting the table for dinner, there's a knock at the door. It's our neighbor from downstairs bringing us a loaf of bread. It's golden brown and warm and wrapped in a thin white towel. That's what goodness looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. After dinner, I work on my homework while Grandma stands at the kitchen sink, washing dishes and humming to herself, just like she does every single night. That's what faithfulness looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. At bedtime, Grandma sits at the edge of my bed, singing me a lullaby and stroking my head. She tucks my blankets up close around me. That's what gentleness looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. I lie in bed watching the curtains flutter. I want to talk about that dog we saw today and how high I can swing. But Grandma says once I'm tucked in, I have to stay in bed till morning. I close my eyes and try to fall asleep. That's what self-control looks like to me. Maybe God is like that too. I saw God all over and over again today, whenever I saw love, joy, and peace, and whenever there was patience, kindness, and goodness. When I saw faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, I saw God's Spirit at work. I don't see God the way I see my friends, or the streetlights, or the river, but I see signs of God's Spirit all around me, right here in the city. I know what God is like, and maybe I can be like that too. I like this book. Now, we don't live in the city. We don't live in high buildings like that, but we can see God. We can see God when we see somebody being kind, or we can see God when we see somebody being gentle with another person. Or, better yet, you can be like God when you're kind, or you're gentle with somebody else. Those are my stories, guys. I hope you liked them. I'll see you again next week. Have a good week. Bye.